So I thought I'd kind of give probably a multi-part video series about a special kind of bonus trigger that I wasn't even sure I was going to bring up, but I think I'm going to bring it up now. I'm going to bring up ultimately the instead of trigger. But before I do that, we're going to kind of come up to it very, very, very slowly. So first thing I'm going to do is in the HR schema, you'll see that it has these objects. Now, I'm actually going to be manipulating the data inside those objects. So I'm going to create another object I can play with. So I'm going to go create table. I don't know. That was probably, how about this? HR employees. There you go. As select asterisks from HR employees. I really don't care anything about keys or any of that kind of stuff. I just basically want to have an object. And it says like, oh my goodness, right away, within the first 30 seconds, I screwed it up. How about that? There you go. So I do have a table called HR employees. A quick look at inside the data there. HR employees. Inside of this schema, we do a quick little run, and it's looking great. Now, if I'm sitting here in this schema, DCTC grant, and I run that exact same query, select asterisks from HR employees, you'll see that this guy doesn't have anything in it. If I try to run it, it basically says right away, oh, you can't find it, right? Or at least it says it doesn't exist. Well, by now, some of you might remember that if this is the schema, HR, and of course, how would you know that, by the way? An easy way right now is just to do this. This will pretty well tell me what the schema is, because remember, these connections, they're just whatever you just choose to call them. But that's the schema right there, HR. So if I was to take HR and stick it in front and run it, that should work, right? No, it doesn't work, because ultimately in HR, we haven't given anybody permission to do anything with this table. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say grant select on HR employees to that schema DC TC grant. Okay, so as soon as I do that, I grant that permission. There it is. We run over here, do a nice little select, and now we have all the data. Awesome. Okay, time to update the data. I'm going to go update the HR.HR employees set, and I'm just going to go last name equal to last name, just basically try and do an update. So I'm going to do an update. It's going to say you can't because you don't have sufficient privileges. However, back over in HR land, if I wanted to, I could say grant update on HR employees to DCTC grant. As soon as I do that, I say, hey, can you just grant that privilege? Now all of a sudden this update will work just fine, right? So that's sort of a reminder about some what's called data control language, or DCL. Now, by the way, what I would do if I had a forethought is, like, in theory, could put both those on the same line. I could go grant, and you can keep granting things if you want, or if it's time to take it away, it's going to be revoke. Revoke, and then it'd be basically, it's almost the same sentence. Revoke these privileges on that from. You revoke from, you grant to. So as soon as I revoke and I try to do a select, it can't. If I try to do an update, it really can't. All right, so there's a little bit there. Now, that's great. Nothing to do with the actual trigger, but I have demonstrated how basically in one schema, I now have given permission to grant that select to this particular, to across the database for another schema. All right. Now, in all reality, what usually happens is that a place like the HR schema will actually not want to let this guy have access to all these columns. In particular, that column would probably be pretty kept a good secret, that column as well. So what we'd probably want to do, let me just get the columns. Okay, something appeared on the other side of the screen, so I'm just going to do that. No, that's not what I want to do. Come on. Right click, isn't there like a copy columns? That's it. So what I'm saying is that this, okay, this query, that's, okay, thank you. You got to get all the columns you see, right click, copy, go over here. I'm just basically being lazy and trying to build a select statement, which realistically I could have done now much easier. I'm going to get some columns. I'm going to basically put this column on its own line just so I can get that done. From HR employees. Now, right now you're thinking, Grant, what's going on? You just created a select statement. I did. Now, what if I decided I don't really want to see the salary or commission? Well, all I'd have to do is basically pull that out of there. Well, now basically I don't have the salary or commissions. Now, could I create an object that would just simply control this view of the data? And in fact, I could. That object is called a view. Create or replace view. I'm just going to go HR employees view as. As soon as I create that object, now I've got this thing called HR employees view. What I could do now is revoke access to this particular object and grant access to this object, grant to the view. So the grant was successful. So now when I go select asterisks from HR blah, blah, blah employees, this won't work. But now if I say, hey, give me the view, I've got myself a view and I can basically not see the salary and commissions column because I'm controlling that through this view. So quick review on this. The HR schema would like this schema to be able to update some data in the table, but not all the data in the table. So what they did is they created a view of the columns that it will allow this person to see. And now, at the very least, I can no longer see, nor can I update this particular, those columns. Now, a quick refresher, and then I might stop this video and go to part 2. How the heck does this guy know how to deal with a view? Like, what's going on when I actually went to select asterisks from there? And I've done something like this in class, but I'll do it again here. Remember, when you're going select asterisks from something, the first thing it's going to do, the first thing it wants to know is what the heck is that? And so what it does is it goes to a table called, now it's not going to, well, yeah, it's, the way I described it in class would be user objects, but now remember, there's nothing inside of the schema. There's another data dictionary table called all objects. So go across all objects where the object name is equal to, and in uppercase, HR employees view. And by the way, the owner, because it knows what the owner is equal to HR. That's the first thing it does. Go. It then says, aha, here's this guy. What is it? It's a view. All right, there's a data dictionary for that too. Select asterisks from all views where the view name is equal to this thing. Off it goes. So now it knows what that view is. Now inside here is the text for that view. So then all it would do is it would basically run that text. Recognizing, by the way, it knows it's in a different schema. Now, of course, it can't run this, right? Because remember now, Grant doesn't know what that object is, but the view did. So it ran it with the permissions of the view. But that's a quick little sort of recap on some of the data dictionary stuff. But what I'm also more or less showing you is that, look, you can actually control what columns you can see through views. So the next thing we're going to do is dealing with updating through a view.